Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. We've got a great show in store for you guys tonight. Travis Carpenter is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about pretty much the proof is in the pudding. Very, very excited to have him on the show tonight. He always has a lot of information, and we're looking to pick his brain again tonight, if you will. It's always a good show. For those of you who may be on the fence that believe in if these things are real, this is the show for you. It will definitely show you a lot of evidence if that's what you're looking for. It says Jesse's here. Let me see if Jesse's still here.
Hello.
I don't know if she's still.
You see me? Can you hear me?
Maybe not.
I think you're having some connection issues.
Saying she is, but it's not seeing her. Here in just.
I'm here. Can you not?
Evidently, that link is not working. Jim's camera at dawn. Good to see you. Latricia, good to see you in here moderating. Hopefully that'll help. Let's see what happens. Seems like we're always fighting the internet. If we're not fighting it, Randy's fighting it. Latricia's here. Like I said, Jim's camera at dawn. We got Sharon Guy. A lot of familiar faces in here. Good to see everybody. I'm checking on everybody right now. Let me check on Jess real quick and see what's going on, and I will be right back with y'all.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're working on some technical difficulties, so I think we've got everything lined out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I see a lot of familiar faces in here tonight.
And some new faces too.
They are in for a good show. It's what I told everybody. If you have trouble, you're on the fence, or you may not believe in these things, this is the show for you because he definitely has the evidence and the proof. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to throw some of these names up while we're talking. Also, we got Phyllis is in here.
Hello, Phyllis.
We got Romans in here. We have Vicky in here. We got Sharon in here. Sharon's going to rock it up because we got AI Mod in here. We're in trouble now. We got Tim in here. He's already donated, so we appreciate Tim. Tim donated before the show. Michelle McGuire, good to see you. There's trouble right there. We're gonna have to start calling her the cheese in the wind or something. I'm not sure. There's Vicky, Latricia, OCST's in here with us tonight. Good to see you, Harold. Glad you could stop by. Emmy. So we got a lot of familiar faces in here. Lisa Ann's in here moderating tonight. Good to see you, Lisa. Hope you're feeling better. Our prayers are still with you. I know this stuff is difficult to get over, and I was looking at some of the material
And for her
last night.
sister.
Yes, I forgot about that. She's having it hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
I went over material last night for the Patreon we're going to be releasing, the video we're going to be working on. And the more you go through that material, oh my God, this Patreon is going to be so deep because there is so many, just so many things that there's no way that we could have ever talked about this. I didn't have any idea it went as deep as what it does. I never and don't get political on this channel because it causes issues. So we're going to stick straight to the facts. And the facts that I found was the last administration actually, well, they pardoned a lot of doctors and scientists. And then I guess my question would be, do you really want a doctor that has to be pardoned by the president? You know?
No.
But it's going to be a good show. I had no idea that a lot of that had happened. There's Pink Pixie in here with us tonight. Good to see you, Pink Pixie, moderating. I thought it was really interesting, and it should make the show really, really interesting also. And, of course, I got some questions tonight that I want to pick Travis's bones with. I've been going through some of his stuff, and he's probably going to say, oh, my God, these guys, they've got so many questions. But he just has so much information, and it's hard not to ask him questions, you know. And we're working on also Chris Cyrus in April. We got a couple of things going to be going on with him. He's going to be coming on our show, and he has something he's working on that he's invited us to join him on, and looking very forward to some projects with him and working with him. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm excited. He definitely has a great podcast. He's a great man. And he's intelligent. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen whenever we get together. Hello, Sebastian. Good to see you. Travis is having trouble getting in tonight also. Entering the studio. It's asking him to continue with YouTube or continue with Facebook. Which one would he want to continue with?
I continue with Facebook. I don't know what he went in last time. Probably Facebook is probably the easiest, but
That's what I just told him. I said maybe try Facebook. He said he was trying YouTube. So
yeah,
we're
try
having
Facebook.
a lot of technical difficulties tonight for sure. There he is. I see him
All
now.
right.
I'm going to go ahead and bring him in.
Everybody. Sorry about all that, everybody. My goodness. It's
That's
almost like
okay.
I'd never known how to click a link before.
First rodeo, huh?
Yeah, first time for everything. How's audio and everybody? Do
Oh,
I sound halfway
trust
decent?
me. Oh, there we go.
Doing good.
Good,
Yep.
good.
Oh, surviving, man. We're surviving.
Buddy, ain't we all? Ain't we all? How is the
I
fam?
guess
How
that's
is
all that
my
matters.
abnormal investigations fam?
Oh yeah,
Say it again.
doing good. I'm doing good. We've got some lag on his part, but
We definitely do. We definitely do.
mhm.
We'll make it happen. I know there's some big geostorm going on. My phone's been acting really crazy today.
Okay.
So
That's interesting, yeah.
that's been a big that's been a big thing for a lot of folks, at least out here in East Tennessee and West Tennessee. I don't know about Oklahoma or where you guys are at.
Well, I'm up in Wisconsin, so
Uh-oh.
I'm a whole different
You're a different region.
yep.
I heard
How's
that.
the how's the property and the house and everything? How's that all going?
Well, we just had some showings today, so we're excited. We got babe, what's going on with the property? Are we just waiting on
Waiting to go under contract on the house.
or we're just waiting to go under contract on the house?
And we're waiting on
All right.
Say it again, babe.
we're waiting on the CAD drawings.
We're waiting on the CAD drawings. So what we're doing is we're building one of those big metal barn dominiums, and it's going to be built for about 180 something dollars a square foot, which where I'm at here at East Tennessee, you can't build anything for like under 200 a square foot. It's pretty insane.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so but right now the house looks as clean as you'll ever see it.
Right.
So
Seems the
but
way it always goes
My
right before I
cousin,
move.
yeah, exactly. Go ahead, buddy.
my cousin, my cousin actually lives in one of those houses that you're talking about. He built one brand new.
Yeah.
He owns a filling station over here, and well, it's more than a filling station. It's huge. They've got a like a restaurant inside and everything. And he built one of those, and man, them things are nice. He loves it, man. They
Well,
are.
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm sure excited about it. Um, it's I it's gonna have the 2x6s and all that. It's gonna be one level, and it's gonna be overlooking about a 50-acre back plot. So I'm really excited about it. We got really blessed with the property. So I'm gonna kind of take you guys along on that journey, and I think it'll be fun. You know, it's definitely got some traction. So we'll
Oh
just
yeah,
see.
yeah.
The guy at the place that's building at Summertown Metals, he wants to he wants me to do something on them, and I'm like, all right, we'll see. We'll see. I just kind of want to tell people like how I'm doing it, not how to do it, just how I'm doing it.
Right.
Right.
So,
I was talking to Jessie just the other day, and I told her, I restarted my outdoor channel. It's the same name, except for I just added Oklahoma, but it's a new site.
yeah,
YouTube was still in my hours. So what we done is we're just transferring everything over. So that way I can work on it more. And I told her, I said, I got to get you over there, and we need to talk about survival and stuff like that. And
dude, I would absolutely love it. I would love it. Um, hey, hey, baby, would you do me a humongous favor? Would you go out to my car and grab my book, my the Truth Denied book. I grabbed the wrong one. It's in the front. It's in the passenger side seat. Thank you. I have too many books around here. So
Yeah, I went through some of your stuff, and I of course I've always got questions. I've got questions sitting here in front of me. So
I heard that. So, and we'll get into it. And before we do, I kind of want to apologize to everybody about kind of taking a little bit of time off. It has been an absolute whirlwind the last month. So please forgive me. I've done some readings. I'm compiling them all together. This Sierra Kills chapter or part two is a rough read. Number one, and then number two, it's a very long read, but it's very, very foundational to understand where the DNA evidence came, where a ton of DNA evidence came from, and why and what people said before the before the findings came out, and then they started to change their tune when the findings didn't match their worldview.
Right.
So
yeah, I won't go into it tonight, but there was I noticed about a week ago, and I guess because we've been discussing your books and stuff, I was kind of hit with, the findings aren't real, and I've talked to this person, and she's Miss Ketchum was the point of attack, and
absolutely,
it frustrated me because, I mean,
yeah,
it's like they don't want the truth. It's like they want
no,
their truth, not
that
what is truth.
that's the big thing, and that's what Dad found is what happens is and what you'll see with every DNA study that will come out will be and for new folks too, what you will see is you will see that the first findings will come out, mitochondrial DNA or the outside DNA will show up human. Everyone will say that it's either contaminated or or it is a human, or whatnot, or they messed up. And then after that, if they dig deep into the nuclear DNA, they will find out that that it's abnormal. It's something different. And then then it'll be scrubbed. The whole thing will be scrubbed. So that's kind of that's how every DNA study will go. And if you have solid DNA evidence and you don't have the facts, what do? Then you go after the people doing the study. That's
Right.
how that works.
Right.
And these people that are saying that it's a lie and everything, you could probably take them and put them in Melba's working environment, and they wouldn't have the first clue as what to do. I mean, these are professionals.
Right. My thing is why lie about this? There's so much more money to be made if Bigfoot is a missing link. If it is a hairy, it is an ape. It is Gigantopithecus. There's so much more money in it there. There's no money in it if it's a spiritual being, if it's a human hybrid. There's no money in that. So why lie about it? You know what I'm saying? And people
Right.
I have a theory.
and people usually go, yeah. Okay, I want to hear it.
And
My
Here we go.
theory, and I thought long and hard about this whenever you was reading your book, and I was like, why would somebody want to lie about it? And then if you think about it, I went all the way back to the beginning.
Mhm.
It's always been the war of the seed, right?
Absolutely.
So if what your dad was saying is true, then that proves the Bible true. And if you look at a lot of these these naysayers that are saying, no, it's not that way, it's not that way, it's not that way, go listen to what they talk about. Go listen to what they say. They are worshiping demigods. And
Bingo.
if it is true what your dad is saying, then that gives the true father the recognition, and the glory, and they don't want that.
Bingo. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that is why they're going to come after, and that's why they're going to try to discredit and disprove this. Is that right there? That's absolutely you nailed it. You nailed it, man. That's it. So, all right. Sorry, I had to go get my material.
You're good. You're fine.
All right. So now that we've got it, we were getting into the last episode that we talked about, that you and I talked about, was we were getting into part 2 of, like I said, the Sierra kills and the guy Justin and just all that. And a lot of people brought up the fact that he was talked to by a polygraph test, or he needed a polygraph test. I think that was one of the things that people had brought up. And in this reading that we'll find, you're going to find out that that the polygraph test person, like who the polygraph test person was and whatnot. And I thought it was just very, very interesting, and wanted to read you guys some of my dad's like some excerpts of that and what dad had found. Had you heard about that, or did you know about that?
Yeah, I actually, that's one of the things I'd had on my list to ask you about was the Justin guy and what had happened. And,
Yeah, go ahead. Ask away, my friend.
he killed one of these creatures, and he pretty much, whenever he done that, man, he was under scrutiny, wasn't he? He was.
Yes. That's exactly right. So the whole chapter 5 that we're getting through is about this Justin, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and that's terrible. But Justin Schmaja, I think it's Smeja, and this happened back in October of 2010. And what is reported to happen, Justin and a driver of a vehicle observed a Bigfoot standing in a small meadow approximately 80 yards from the road. The driver pulled over. Justin opened his door, aimed his rifle at the Bigfoot. The driver opened his door and looked at the Bigfoot. The driver told Justin not to shoot. It wasn't a bear, that this, in fact, is a Bigfoot. The Bigfoot was waving its hands over its head, almost as if to say, "Don't shoot." Justin shot the Bigfoot in the chest. The Bigfoot went down, then was able to stand up and retreat through the brush. Justin and the driver watched the wounded Bigfoot run into a thick forest. Justin and the driver went over to the area where the Bigfoot was shot to investigate. While investigating, 2 infant Bigfoot emerged from the woods. Justin shot one of the infants. He explained his motive as being fearful, but in a later interview, he said it was hunter bloodlust. So those are the facts that I believe that Dad came to believe after about 3 to 4 or 5 different interviews by Justin, and that's what we're kind of going through is all these interviews of Justin.
Right.
But that is what the Sierra kills, what we're discussing tonight.
Yeah, whenever he talked about, being afraid and, and the bloodlust, I think those can kind of go together too. I don't think they have to be separated because, a true hunter, if you're out and you're afraid, your first instinct is going to be to, shoot the bobcat or whatever's threatening you.
Absolutely. And I've thought about this after kind of reading over and over and over again. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very, I don't know. I want to say, I would be, this of moral, upstanding character. But if I was absolutely afraid for my life, who knows? Who knows if it was fear? Who knows if it was bloodlust? Just honestly, who knows? So,
Right.
I mean, last night I was out and there was a point to where I thought I was going to have to defend myself. I've never had one come up on me the way they did last night.
Yeah, I had heard you
They
had
were pushing
some
me instead of me pushing
man.
them.
I heard
Yeah,
that you had some stuff happen, man.
Hmm.
it was a little
Yeah.
much. I got a stick thrown at me. It just missed my head,
Yeah,
and a lot of whoops, and the walk, and there was a point to where I was ready to defend myself. I felt like it was going to have to happen because I was trying to leave. I was
yeah.
actually trying to leave. I was backing out, and it was
Well,
still, man, it was still
slowly.
like,
Right.
yeah,
You don't
I
call
didn't
yeah.
want to turn. I didn't want to turn my back to it. Yeah, I wanted to walk, with facing it. I was backing, literally backing out, and then they started making noise behind me, and I was like, they've circled me.
Yeah,
They've
that's.
already, and man, that's a bad feeling.
I remember when Dad, one of Dad's famous videos where he's like surrounded by Bigfoot. He talks about that. He's like, you can't hear it on camera, but man, like you can hear it and feel it, and they're there, and you just start getting terrified. So it's yeah. Bless you, man. That's wild,
I felt vulnerable.
dude. That's a good way to put it. Like, because with these things, you're there. If they want to, they will. Like, I know that's kind of the thing we always have to remember is when we're out there, like they're wanting to scare us, they're wanting to just get us away. Because if they want to snap us in half, man, they can like that. Like there's
Right.
Oh yeah.
nothing we can do. And that's
Right.
the scary part.
Yeah,
So
they was a little last night was a little more than what we've had on any. I mean, they were chunking stuff in the water in the creek. It was just, you could hear it just kadoosh big.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, what in the world,
I heard
I
that.
don't, and it was quiet at first too. It's like
Yep.
they weren't there and they were passing through, or I was in the way, or I don't know what kicked it off, but it started out a beautiful night, and it turned into they wanted me gone.
Man, I heard that. What else you got for me? What questions you got?
As far as the Justin question, not a whole lot into him, but you had done a video also. But Justin, had talked about shooting him. But one thing I was wondering, and you talked about on one of your videos I was watching, where you had went to your dad's favorite place. You were out,
Yes.
taking a walk, and you said it was a hot spot, and you were talking about the horses and some other things that you said, a lake, and I was wondering what did your dad think? Does he think that all those things together is like an attraction to him?
Yes. So the major thing that we have to remember about Bigfoot is they're watchers. So that's what they do. That's where you'll usually find them is watching other people, and they usually have been found. And excuse me, David Pilates has also plotted this. Is a lot of activity, a lot of reports will be found around horse trails. Well, around here, there's a lot of equestrian people, and they're not. There's not a lot of places to go. And this one big massive area is about 1,000 acres, and it's a peninsula, so it's surrounded on all three sides by water. And and basically people will ride horses. Well, most of the equestrian culture around here is ladies. So you have ladies, you have horses, and then you have water, which again, they like ladies. I mean, you found that with your sister. Kind of obvious reasons there. Um,
Right.
and horses, that there's something about horses they like. I'm not sure. But yes, he thought that he didn't understand the water aspect of it, but I believe that there has something to do with water, like water and paranormal those two things mix big time, and I don't understand why, but I know it does. And then the other thing that I talked about at the very end of the video was how this was very, very close to the Cherokee capital in Tennessee called Tennessee. And that's actually where Tennessee gets its name from, is that Cherokee capital. And when I mean right down the road, I mean it's right down the river. So what happened in this area that we don't know about? We know that it's a burial ground. We know that my father's buried there and that other people are buried there. We know that there were some terrible things that happened on this land just in the last 50 years. There was a lady, you you were able to actually drive on it, and this guy took a lady out to it and took advantage of her and killed her. And then they shut it off to traffic, to roads, so you can walk back there, but you can't drive back there. And then this
Right.
other lady, a guy I know that I'm real friends with, his first wife drove out there and committed, you know what. So those are two incidences that I know of just terrible, bad things happening on that property. So who knows what things are out there or connected to there, just of those two incidences, and not anything more, in the 200-300 years ago type of thing.
Right.
So
And and I'm not going to take you way off trail right now, because I do want to talk about the chapters. I'll wait till the end of the show, because I have like questions for you that's going to take us away from that. And I know Jessie has some questions for you. She's been really looking at, I think, chapter 6 a lot, and
Yeah.
she was telling me, that she had a lot of questions. So I'm going to let her get some of her
Please.
questions out to you before I take you completely off trail, because when I watched one of your videos, it really gave me a lot of questions, but they're not going to take us where we're headed right now. So I'll let her kind of get some of her questions out real quick.
All right. Yeah, I'm down.
Like I said, we could probably talk all night.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Well, actually, I don't think it was chapter 6, because I had jumped ahead. I think I was on chapter 7 and chapter
You're
8.
killing
Yeah,
me.
I know. So
So I'm gonna be as kind of like, oh gosh, as you. No.
no, because chapter 6 was all on the NDAs.
Correct. The
And
chapter 6 is
I-
all in NDAs.
And I found that quite interesting.
Isn't it funny? Yes.
Yep. So everything that everybody knew couldn't be talked about, and so therefore they brought it up so that they weren't able to basically defend themselves.
Exactly.
And
And we'll kind of get into that. I don't want to jump too far ahead. So,
right.
but yes, that's why, if you want me to be honest, I'm not a big fan of NDAs, because what'll happen is you sign an NDA, then by breaking the NDA, you can be sued and all that stuff. It's just interesting to me how that, and Dad says it really, really well. I'll read this. It's important for the reader to understand that from my perspective, the Sasquatch genome study consisted of several independent groups, and it is my understanding that these groups agreed to work together for a common goal. And each of these groups were strong, independent, driven personalities. And we understand this, by the way. We are all in the Bigfoot community. There's very strong, individual, driven personalities that have their way or the highway type of thing. We all know
Right.
this. This is not a criticism, but an acknowledgement that this is the type of individuals needed to successfully engage in a study of this significance. Each group had an independent NDA with each other, and it became clear to all parties that the NDAs needed to be standardized. And I am reminding of saying that never involve lawyers, but this one was situations where required legal study. It says, there's a frequent thing of people are only in it for the fame and money. And that's definitely not it. As a submitter of the Sasquatch Genome Study, Dad did. I signed a submitter's NDA. I know that this NDA was different from NDAs between principles and studies. The NDA I signed was not complicated. It consisted of three main things. So here's actually Dad's NDA that he signed, by the way. And it was he couldn't divulge any information about the study to include the results of samples, progress to the study, and the results of the submitters. He could only talk about the results after the study had been published in a journal or made public by the Sasquatch Genome Project in some form. My samples would not be returned. The disposition of the samples I submitted would be decided by the Sasquatch Genome Study, and I would receive recognition as a submitter in a published manuscript. So Dad, by writing this book, completely following his NDA. So if anybody's like, well, how did if your dad was really in this study and all this, well, how did he get around the NDA stuff? That's how. He's actually following his NDA. So wanted
Right.
to say that.
Right.
So good. But thank you, sweetheart. But that's on that. And then chapter 7 is that like-minded conspiracy that that you'll get into, where it talks about, hey, the bipedal ape financial group, they have to protect the theory of evolution group, like you had just talked about, Mike. Like you nailed that on the head. Then you
Right.
have the the financial group of, we want it to be a remaining undiscovered. And then you have federal and local governments. All these things that are that like-minded conspiracy, or basically it's like, hey, we're kind of in this together, even though we don't say we are. We are. Does that make sense at all?
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right.
Sure. Is that
'Cause
kind
there
of
was some,
answer a little bit of questions, Jess?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I guess it wasn't like a whole lot of questions. It was just reading through the first couple of, or reading through those next few chapters. It was almost like, it was just very frustrating to know all of the struggles that everybody had to go through for this project, and how hard everyone was shot down in the end because of this. And it's frustrating.
It is very discouraging, and you can definitely see why Dad, there for a couple of years, just said heck with it. It's like, why, I really, he got to the point where he's like, I don't care about pictures, I don't care about photos. He's like, don't send me no pictures, don't send me no photos, how he would say it. And he's like, just don't send me no emails. I'm done with this, I'm tired. And he did, he got really upset about it because, I think Dad, too, this is where you trust, you really trust science, and you really trust the people in charge, and you really trust that, hey, there really are, if you just bring 2 + 2 = 4 to these people, they're going to believe it and everything will be fine. And that's not the case. Is they will look at 2 + 2 and they will say it equals 5, not 4, and they will argue with it. And then when you don't agree, then you're a liar. You're this and that, and just go through the gamut. And that really was a paradigm shift that took my dad a couple years to get over.
Yeah, and I completely
And
understand that. I mean,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We got a little bit of a lag.
I was just going to say, I mean, I completely understand. I mean, even in the small time that I've been doing my own investigations and stuff and research, the amount of criticisms, and I mean, I've gotten to the point too where I'm almost done with it myself, and I haven't even been in that long, so I can't imagine putting in all of that work and feeling that way. So
Yeah, that is the one thing that we have to, we as investigators, and we as folks that are in this, we have to kind of fight this. And I had to as well, in my own way. So when Dad first started this, I was working at this place in the mall with a buddy of mine named Joe. Let's say his name's actually Joe, and he's a great friend of mine. But he was like, okay, does your dad really believe in Bigfoot? I was like, yeah, man, he really does. You know, because you have to go through this process with your family too. You know, if you're really going to do this, you have to answer these questions. And it's like, yes, he does, and this, and you kind of have to defend it. And I had to defend it on a different level where it's like, okay, you know, my dad's not crazy. If Bigfoot's out there, I know my dad will find it. Like I had really super confidence in him because I was, you know, dad's Superman, of course, and just all those things. And then changing now into this role, it's like, you know, hey, you're just living off your dad's coattails, and you're just doing this and you're doing that, and you just gotta ignore those people. But it's hard. It ain't easy. It ain't easy to do it. So
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the sad things too I've noticed in this field, and it's a thorn in everybody's side, is whenever certain larger groups don't agree with certain analogies or findings or something, they'll go out and they will lie. But it seems like in this genre, there's a darkness that stuff gets a foothold, and it
yeah,
spreads like a wildfire, and people believe it, and they, instead of looking for themselves, it's, you know, it's like a cult following. It's like, our leader said this is how it is, and that's how it is. And it doesn't matter if you're a professional or you're a doctor, or, you know, you've done this in your entire life, your findings are wrong because he said so. And it just destroys credibility. It destroys research. It destroys the work you put into it. It's frustrating and it's tiresome.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to decide as researchers is because just like the book says, what the truth will be denied. Period. End of sentence. There is there's just about no more hardcore scientific evidence you can give. It's all
No.
going to be now for the folks that do believe. So, Mike, when you go out and you do your research, it confirms those who have had those experiences, man. So, like, it's kind of like therapy for them. It's like, man, I'm not crazy. It's like, yes, he's having that. Yes, they have backed me out before. They have done these things. And it's just trying to
Right.
get more data, but you're not proving that they exist. You're just getting more data and helping those that actually do believe and that have had experiences. And same thing with you, Jess, when you go out and do that, it's kind of, you know, y'all have more cojones than I do, by the way, going out in the dark. But
I
but
don't know if you
like you
call it
guys,
cojones, but
I don't know, man. I don't know. Whatever y'all got more of them than I do. Um, but but man, like
screws.
what you do, and then you do it kind of for yourself too. It's like, hey, I'm not proving this to
Oh yeah,
anybody. I'm doing this for me to prove that I'm not
right.
that this is there. So I feel like when we shift that thinking in our head, when that clicks, we do better. But we're all human, and those criticisms, they hurt, and
Yeah.
they do hurt. They hurt bad. No one's above it.
And you
No one's
know,
above hurting it.
a- and I don't think it would hurt as bad if somebody was to say, I disagree,
Mhm.
except for the fact that they feel like that if they disagree with you, then they have to destroy you
Your
and
your
try to
character.
destroy your, you know, your integrity, yeah, your character, and, you know, attack your family. And, you know, it's like we can't be adults in this field and have a disagreement and say,
Right.
you know, I think it's this way, no, I think it's that way. Okay, well then let's put our research together and let's see which way it goes, you know.
Yeah.
But no,
Abs-
you know,
absolutely,
nobody wants to
man.
do
And
that.
there's yeah, and I mean there's you know, I've told Jess some things where it's like, hey, there's this one person I disagree with, and that one person I had to I had to deal with it. There was no not dealing with it. And
Yeah.
so it was, you know,
Right.
and I talked to another person. They're like, man, you got to be an adult about this. And that's what we had to do. We were adults. But, you know, it's funny, you know, everybody acts one way behind a keyboard, a lot differently when you have to look them in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
there's a little bit of that too in this field. There's a lot of keyboard warriors, and it's like, well, you may say that behind a keyboard, say it to my face and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
So,
I think another problem with this community too, and you know, is some people are doing it as an entertainment, and some people
mhm.
are doing it for information. And I always told everybody, if you're looking for entertainment, you know, to come over and, you know, get a fictitious story, then I'm not the channel for you.
No.
I'm here to try to understand why they do what they do, where they come from. And to me, it's been a journey of faith. I will say that by coming into this genre, that it has taught me more about, you know, Christianity, because it all does coincide so close that
Bingo.
to me it just proves the word. You know, it proves the word
Yes.
of God to me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, nothing else fits that the way all this fits together. And it just, but whenever you start telling people you're telling the truth and then you're doing it for entertainment, man, that really hurts the true investigators, because
It,
then you have to wade through the, well, I thought it was this way, or I thought it was that way. And half these people, honestly, they haven't even been out there and got some. You know, you got to get out there and get some. You got to be able to go out and experience it, because if you take letters from people and you take emails from people, number one, we don't know where they come from. We can't vet those
right.
100%. You got to take
Exactly. No
uh,
one can. No one can, by
no,
the way.
no, the ones I read, take them with a grain of
Right.
salt. You
Exactly.
cannot you know, you can't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to see the boots on the ground evidence, and then you got to, not only the boots on the ground evidence, then you have to think about, okay, can I trust the integrity of the person that's actually presenting the evidence?
Right.
And
Exactly. My thing is, if you go out and you're finding something and you're finding the most amazing evidence every single time you go out, it's going to be very difficult for me to trust you, because we've all been out there. If you've been out in the
Mm-hmm.
woods, you're not finding this stuff all the time. And if you
right,
are, take me to that place. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
exactly,
you know, I say this, you know, big thing is like, Les Stroud came to where Dad's hotspot was and had a encounter. So this is about the best hotspot there is, in my opinion. And you still don't go out and find all these crazy things every single time you go out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
right.
So
Yeah, because I
that's
went
kind of
out
my
many times, you know, and I'll tell the audience, you know, man, this is a dead night. Sorry, it's quiet, you know, but
yeah,
you
nothing there.
can't make something happen. You can't make something happen. Um,
Exactly.
and then sometimes I'll go out there and, man, I'll just, you know, you don't even want to get out of the car. You know, when you get there, it's already, that feeling is already
Dude,
there.
I had when I was at Dad's grave, and I started walking toward that. Started walking toward that trail, and I told you I got hit
Mhm.
with that skunk smell. Man, I got
Yeah.
hit with it like a ton of bricks, and I like the hair on the back of my neck stand. Oh gosh, and it was. I don't know if you guys could see it on camera, dude. It was so bright, and like there was no leaves on the trees. Like I could see for a good 100, 200 yards through the trees, and I was still just almost locked up. It was so hard, and I didn't go very far into the woods, and that made me mad. I couldn't even go to where that little hunting spot was I wanted to show you. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to go over the hill. So it was just it, like you said, you just get that weird feeling, and you just can't. It's almost like you can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. I've done exactly what you done, and I've done it in the broad daylight, and get so mad at myself because I wouldn't go down there. I'd be like, "Come
Yes,
on, Mike, you know, God, come on, you know, it's daylight, you know, what are you doing?" You know, but I could not push myself. I ended up leaving. I just did not like the feeling, and then I can go there sometimes, and I can walk all in
Yeah, you
there
feel
and
just
fish
fine.
all in there. Yeah, it was weird. And I noticed you get frustrated. You know, you said that you get frustrated, but also you were screamed at in that area.
Yeah, that's the area. That's exactly where that area that I was screamed at. And again, it's kind of one of those things. Is like you replay it in your mind. It's like, was that a heron? Was that something else? And I keep trying to be like, oh, it might have been a fox, because it's like, foxes scream really weird like that. But then it's like, no, like this was a scream. Like this was like something yelling at me. And
Right.
and I swear to you, I jumped up and yelled right back, but I know my yell was nowhere close to as loud as its yell. So I don't know, man. But I was feeling like before I got screamed at, I was feeling that dread. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's kind of where I was at with it, and I just didn't like it. And then I don't know if you heard on camera how quiet the woods got. Just like went super quiet for like 10,
Mhm.
15, 20 seconds, and then you could start hearing birds again. But it was just like, okay, I don't like that.
Right.
So
And that's another thing I noticed too, talking about the birds, you were talking about, the crows, and you got me wondering, do you think that the crows and the owls maybe have something in common? Because it seems like when I'm out, if I start getting a lot of owl activity,
mhm.
there's usually a good chance something's fixing to happen. And I'll also notice that some of the owls do not sound like a regular hoot owl. You'll
Bingo,
have
yes,
that weird one that's out of place,
out of place.
and then all of them start up, and then it goes to the
Yeah,
coyotes, and then the cows get angry. The cows all around you in the pastures, they start getting mad, and it's like everything just becomes angry or upset
agitated.
or maybe afraid. I'm not sure, but
I, I,
yeah,
I think
something
they get
happens.
yeah, I think they get agitated. You'll usually hear Dad would talk about it. You'll usually hear like a squirrel barking, or the crows start getting upset. They start letting you know of what's going on, because it's hard to hide from them. It's hard to hide from them, and they just get,
Oh yeah.
like they'll start messing with it. And like you said, or you'll hear, like you said, just an out of place call. It sounds like an owl, but it's like that's not an owl. It's just a little bit different. That Dad would definitely
Yes.
mention that. And yeah. Now, like you said though, you know how I was in the woods and all that. I took my girls and I took a buddy and his kid up to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, up in Cakes Cove, where many sightings have happened. Felt zero problem, had none whatsoever. Now, granted, this was two men taking kids. I took young kids, but two men. Could have been that they didn't want any part of me, didn't want anything like that. But I felt no dread, no fear, had zero problems. I find that interesting, that I can be there and have no problems, but then I can barely walk 5 feet in the woods at the other spot.
Right.
So
It just
And,
reminds me
and you,
also of, where I live, a lot of the old timers, a lot of what they told me growing up was don't go down there alone at night. And if you want something to happen, always take a woman with you. If you have the same amount of women with you as you do men, something's going to happen. But they would always tell us, don't do that. Don't go down there and test it. But of course we would. But
of course. Of course. I kind of wanted to circle back to what Jess had talked about a little bit with chapter 7 and the like-minded conspiracies. I kind of wanted to, break down the groups, and just kind of read, the like-minded conspiracy groups, and talk about the why a little bit, kind of like what you had said, Mike, if that's okay with you guys.
yeah.
yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm all
Absolutely.
for it.
So the like-minded conspiracy, that's coming up, and I did want to give you the following groups and break it down for your viewers. And I want to talk about too, like, okay, the breakdown of this group, what's your thoughts and all that. So the first group we have is the bipedal ape believers group. So this is the group that, hey, this is the Gigantopithecus and whatnot. So these people were emotionally invested in Bigfoot being a bipedal ape. It was a part of their worldview. Remember, we talked about that. That's a big thing. This group suffered from true cognitive dissonance. They could not intellectually acknowledge nor accept that the Bigfoot was a human hybrid. Any evidence that substantiates this had to be destroyed. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree.
So,
I mean, I think he says it plainly.
yeah, absolutely. Jess, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree too.
I think the cognitive dissonance thing, it's like they can't. That's where you have two opposing thoughts or two opposing things that just cannot be married. So your brain just cannot figure it out. So
Mm-hmm.
one has to be destroyed. So that's what
Right.
that is. The next, you have the bipedal ape financial group. Now, I want people to understand that there's finances involved in this. So this group was financially invested in Bigfoot being a bipedal ape. This group could also be classified as the professional reputation group. The people in this group had built their careers around the assertion that Bigfoot was a bipedal ape. So you have books, movies, TV shows, blogs, along with lucrative speaking fees were in jeopardy if Bigfoot was proven to be a human hybrid. This group consisted mostly of the old guard of the Bigfoot researchers who had built their credibility and reputation on Bigfoot being a bipedal ape. This group also consisted of high profile scientists, many of whom were making a good living writing books, along with collecting conference speaking fees. Many in this group knew from the current scientific evidence that Bigfoot was most likely a human hybrid. However, the truth was not a concern of this group. The protection of their income source was, to include protecting professional reputations, was motive enough to destroy the Sasquatch genome study. Now, what's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I was taking.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I love the way Dad writes. I swear to you, because he writes like he talks. Like it's so plain. It's so just straightforward. No fluff. No BS.
I love how you done. I'm going to let Jesse start because I'm probably going to get myself in trouble a little bit over that one. So go ahead,
No.
Jesse. Then I'll give my opinion.
No, I think it's really sad that that's how a lot of them look at it. I mean, yes, there's to an extent I don't want to say that there's money in it, but yes, you need money to do the research. However, to be in this field specifically for the finance and for the money is, I mean, other than to say it's absolutely stupid, it really is. There's
Yep.
anybody that's doing research should not be doing research or investigating like this stuff if they're in it for just the money. It's for the knowledge of the people around us so that we are protected when we're going out in the woods and they are protected and we know what's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, am I against people making a living off this? No, I'm not against people making a living off this. What I'm saying is lying to protect finances. I'm not cool with that.
Right.
If it is, if
Integrity.
yeah, just have integrity with it. If I, in my business, if I make someone a pair of glasses that are wrong, I fix those glasses. I don't then say that the person is wrong or whatnot. No, I make it right. And that's part of the integrity of the process.
Mhm.
So even if my financial gain is hurt, I still make it right. So
Right.
Right. Yeah,
what you think,
I
Mike?
agree. I don't see anything wrong with people making money from it, because it does take a lot of money even to study this, and to go out with the equipment, and equipment breaks and it has to be replaced, and tires, gas, etc. But also a person's I always said, a person's time is worth money also, their honest time. Uh, as far as their, you're talking about, the movies and the books and everything that's been put out there. Could you imagine if it would have came out and nobody would have questioned what your dad and Melba and everybody on the team said? There would be such a revenue loss, and not only a revenue loss, there would be the scientists that were involved in this, what I would call a conspiracy, their character would be questioned. They don't want their character
Bingo.
questioned.
Bingo.
And then I think it all could also flip around, and there's a possibility that the GOVT could be influencing these books and scientists to put out a false narrative to actually hide the truth.
We're going to get to that. That's absolutely one of the next couple groups in here, and we will absolutely get to that. But yeah, I absolutely believe that, and that's we'll get to that. All right, the next one is and again, like you had talked about before, is the protect the theory of evolution group. Okay. This group considered largely of mainstream scientists, scientific publication, and blogs. The theory of evolution is in its final days. I truly believe that, by the way. Advances in microbiology, along with other scientific disciplines, are dismantling the theory of evolution. Scientists know this, but this is all they have in the battle with the intelligent design movement. The renowned neo-Darwinist Richard Dawkins actually admitted on camera in the special Expelled that, quote, I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you were to look at details of biochemistry, molecular biology, you might find a signature of some sort of designer. And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe, end quote. In other words, human life was seeded on this planet and or our genome designed by extraterrestrial entities. This new theory is now gaining acceptance among the Darwinists to replace the dying evolution theory. It's officially known as panspermia. I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but the panspermia, basically we were seeded. It's almost very similar to the aliens, like the aliens movies. Like literally, that's what they start believing. Like it's called panspermia. Until this new theory is accepted universally, the theory of evolution must be protected at all cost. A study providing scientific proof that Bigfoot was a human hybrid could be a final nail in the coffin of evolution. Since this was not acceptable, this group had to ensure that the Sasquatch Genome Project was destroyed as well. So there's another group, the evolution, evolutionist group. What's your thoughts on that, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, I do see that it would cause a lot of damage for evolution wise, and I do see where, I mean, and when did your dad write this book? I mean, because
yeah, exactly. This book was written. Golly, this is insane. This is insane. I think 2016, maybe. That's terrible. I
because
need to find it out.
even then, I'm looking. Because I mean, even then, just that theory, like you had read of the aliens and the seeding and how it was catching hold then,
Mhm.
it has really blown up
Yeah,
since
it's
then.
exploded. Yeah, the panspermia has exploded. Has it like that? That's like dad was on the cusp of saying like, hey, this is about to come out, and that when I remember that when Richard Dawkins had said that in an interview, and I'm like, there it is. That's all the evolutionists need. Just jump their thing, jump
Yep.
because evolution the thing about evolution is they cannot prove the or the origin of information, and that's what we're talking about with this is DNA. They can't prove
Hmm.
how DNA even came to exist. So,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
now we have to be seeded by some other thing, but it can't be God. It can be another alien race, and
Right.
that brings into how they're going to talk about Revelation and how Jesus is a bad alien and Lucifer's a good alien. All that stuff, man.
Well, I
And
mean,
that's, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
and when you look even on like social media and like the shorts and the TikToks, and I mean, there are channels exploding
Yes.
again based off of that theory, and they are just killing it, going back to the money making thing, and they don't care whether it's true or not, or what is the basis behind it. It's they're just going with it, and people are just soaking this up like sponges.
Oh, they are. I mean, basically, ancient aliens. That's what ancient aliens says is the whole panspermia like theory. Just really well done by the History Channel. Like
Yeah.
you have to admit they do a great job. They do a great job of producing it and whatnot. But if you dig deep into what these guys believe and what they say, it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are crazy.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Like if
and
you've actually gone to their YouTube channels and listened to them, it's like y'all are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
yes,
Like this one
and
dude thought he
we,
was like the reincarnate. This one dude on there thinks he's the reincarnation of some other random dude. I'm like, my gosh, have
yeah,
you ever listened to some of this stuff?
I get so far listening to some of those, and it's like I just can't anymore.
Yeah,
I've had all the stupid I can get for the day.
it gets wild. It gets
Yeah.
wild.
and again, what your dad is going through, it it's like a page kind of out of my book in a sense, because
Mhm.
if you go back and you look at what your dad was fighting, right?
Yep.
You have this people come up and they start talking about evolution, trying to disprove what he's doing. And if you talk about evolution being, what happened and everything like what they're trying to push, again, it is disproving God's work, because there is a person out there right now that is preaching to a large audience that the God of the Old Testament was not the correct God, and that the Anunnaki is the one that created
Yep.
us, Anunnaki being aliens.
Hmm.
So, it makes you wonder what is influencing these people to say that. Well, we know what's influencing are the people. It's
It's
the great deceiver, because they
correct.
don't want God to be proven. If this is proven, it proves God is God.
They,
And for some, it just blows my mind.
and what's happening is they're going to get to the point where the whole there is no God thing is going to run its course, and then they have to have a replacement God, and the replacement Christ or the Antichrist. That's what Antichrist really means, is the replacement, and their
Right.
replacement is. I've been doing a ton of research because it's like I couldn't wrap my mind around how they were going, like how this was going to happen. And how this happens is what they're going to say is that Lucifer's the good alien, and Yahweh's the bad one. Yahweh wanted to keep
Yes,
us under
yes,
his
yes.
thumb and controlled, and Lucifer, being the Prometheus character, is the light bringer. He wants to to free the humans. He's the good one. He wanted to give us all this knowledge and wanted us to know all these things so that we could make our own choices and blah 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 blah. And Yahweh just wants to keep us down, and that's all he's ever wanted, is he just wants to hold us all these rules and destroy us all. And I guarantee you that's going to be the play, because that's the lie that he told Eve. That's the
Hmm.
original lie. So
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. My concern is, are people going to believe the lie? And we know they will believe the lie. It's very disheartening to see the playbook and to tell people the playbook, and people still just don't care.
One path is wide and the other is narrow.
Oh my gosh. Amen to that. Oh, that is
Few
so.
few will choose the narrow path. Dawn wants to know, what was your dad's thoughts on reincarnation and past lives?
No such thing as reincarnation. So, and Dad believed that. So it's appointed once for a man to die, and then the judgment. So that is what the Word preaches, and that's what Dad thought, and that's what I thought. I don't believe in reincarnation, and if a entity is telling you that, hey, I'm your grandmother, hey, I'm your this, hey, I'm your that, that is not them. That is not them whatsoever. Now, how we know this is when we look at we look at the Bible, we look at biblical things like there was Jesus told a parable, but it actually wasn't a parable; it was a story of Lazarus and then Lazarus and the rich man. So the rich man goes to hell, or at that point goes to Abraham's or Sheol, and then then Lazarus is on the other side. He goes to Abraham's bosom. And the rich man, he would always see Lazarus, and he would never give anything to him and whatnot because he was rich and whatnot. But they ended up on two things, and he begged Lazarus just to put his finger in water and dip it on his tongue. Okay,
Yeah.
and then he said, "Hey, can you, if you can't do that, please go tell my brothers about this place so that they don't have to deal with this." And he said, "I can't go. I can't leave this to go do this. I can't." So if someone says, "Oh, they can talk to you. They can talk to you from the grave," I don't believe that because scripturally it says,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe it says it can't happen, and that's just me personally.
I talked about this in one of our last ones. A lot of people believe it, that they see their loved ones, and I tell them, and it's familiar ghosts, familiar spirits, because what it is, even the Bible says that once a man leaves his house, he will no longer return. The dead
Mhm.
know nothing. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. There's so many scriptures to where, I mean, it makes it plain. And then, Jesus even comes back and tells us, mediums, necromancy, and all that, stay away from that, because it is familiar spirits. It is things that we don't understand. And, so many people tell people to go outside of the word and search for even more knowledge. And I try to tell people, if he wanted us to know that, it would be there. I look at it as that book, the Holy Bible, is the Word of God. That is the roadmap, and that is the knowledge we need here to go to the next plane. I mean, John 3:16, to me, most important passage of the Bible. If you don't
Absolutely.
have that, the rest of it don't matter,
Bingo.
because we will never be good enough to go there on our own. Never.
A-
And
Absolutely. My
you know,
wife was doing, did this women's conference, and it was just so good. And when Jesus was about to die, he told three parables, and one of the biggest things is when you know you're about to die, your words become very pointed and very important. And his words, or basically his parables, were um, the prodigal son, the woman who lost the coin, and then the shepherd leaving the 99 to go find the sheep. In all of those things, by the way, all of the people or all the things couldn't do anything to be found again.
right,
A coin can't go look for its master. A
right,
sheep, when it's lost, it actually lays down and cries for its shepherd. It doesn't go find its shepherd. And the prodigal son, when he's walking back, he's walking. What does the father actually do? In Western cultures is actually called the parable of the running father, not the prodigal son, because the father leaves and runs to him and disgraces himself to go run to the son. So in all the three of those parables, it's something was lost, and then something was sought after by the master, by God, and we were found again. So the coin can't, we're the coin, obviously. Our master finds us. The good woman finds us. Okay. We're the lost sheep. we're all we can do is lay down and cry for our shepherd, and he goes and finds us. And same thing with the prodigal son. You know, we're walking back. The father runs to us and disgraces himself to come get us. So that all bleeds into there's nothing we can do other than accept it and accept who he is. That we can't physically do anything. So I get fired
And
up
I
with
think
that
we have
stuff.
to
I'm
be
sorry.
careful of these people. Oh, I do too, because I mean, Jesse knows. It gets into me because, you know, these people go out, and when you say God is not the God of the Old Testament, God is not the one that created you, the Anunnaki created you, that is the definition of blasphemy, the
Yeah,
unforgivable sin. Whenever
absolutely.
you take away and you do not give him credit for his creation and what he done, you're blaspheming him.
Absolutely.
And what is sad though, there is so many young Christians out there that are
Yes.
still learning, trying to find their way, and these people with forked tongues are taking them the wrong direction for self fulfillment, because they need that feeling that people think that they set up on this high chair. They need to be praised, but also, who else needed to be praised? Didn't the fallen angels want to be praised? Didn't Lucifer want to be
Absolutely.
praised?
Absolutely. They wanted to be light gods, and it's like,
That's
my
right.
goodness, it's yeah. They want that. They want that, like you said, that high praise. And I think churches, I feel like Tony Merkel really does a good job of hammering this home. Churches need to really get get woken up with the fact that there is a spiritual battle happening. These paranormal things are happening, and you need to address it, and you need to talk about it, and you need to understand that there's a war going on. And it's not just a oh, let's come in, get 5 points to be a good human and throw some Jesus sprinkles on there. Like,
Exactly.
we gotta get into the nitty-gritty, because I'm sorry, the next generation coming up does not care about five PowerPoints and Jesus sprinkles. They want to know what's up. You know,
Right.
Right.
just my
Right.
thoughts on that.
And the one thing before you continue through the book, I want to say about your dad. Even though your dad had all this knowledge, he was very intelligent individual, very good investigator. The one thing your dad always done that people haven't been able to do in this field is he stayed humble. And I
Thank you,
think that's very important.
thank you. Dad was, and I greatly appreciate that. I do believe Dad was super humble. Dad taught that, beat that into me and my sister, and he did a good job of thinking properly of himself. He didn't think too low of himself. He didn't think too high of himself. And I wish that I pray that I find that out in me. I don't want to obviously think too high of myself, but I don't want to think too less of myself either. So
Right.
I'm very thank you for saying that. That was a very, very, very that's just very kind words, Mike.
I've
So
always thought that way about him. He just was always so humble, you know. It didn't matter what information he was sharing or what breaking edge, information he had. Your dad was just humble.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. And I promise you, like if you go back and read some of his early blogs, like he made a statement, like, I'm not in this for the money. I'm not. I'm not going to be in this. I'm going to find the truth. I'm not going to put anything behind a paywall. No offense to anybody that does. That's just not who he was. He didn't. He really didn't want.
Right.
He and he didn't want this. Like, that was the thing. Is like, he didn't want this. He had this experience. He's like, I got to figure this out. And really just
Right.
deep dived into it. But all right, so we got so next group I wanted to talk about, or that's up in here, and we're almost done with the groups, by the way. We're almost done with the groups. We've got two more. So the next group is the financially invested in Bigfoot remaining undiscovered group. Okay. This group consisted of those people that made a living off searching for Bigfoot, obviously. Those include TV shows, excursions, authors and bloggers. If the Bigfoot mystery is solved, proven to be a human hybrid, then the mystique, the romanticizing of this elusive creature would no longer exist. Scientifically proving Bigfoot Sasquatch exists would effectively put these people out of business. So there's just a lot of money in this that's coming into it. So yep.
I just
Thank
put
you,
the
by the
book
way.
up because everybody was, asking.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do want to say, guys, you can buy it on Amazon. Right now, I don't make a dime off the book sales, but buy it. Please get it out there. Just and the reason why is when you die, and love that death, when you die and you don't leave passwords, it's hard to get into things. But I'm glad I
Right.
don't want to mess with it because I want people to still be able to get it and get that knowledge. Okay. So, and that's why I'm doing this too, is I want to put out there, if Amazon ever stops doing this, I'll still have these copies that I can try to figure out what to do with, but at least it's out on the internet to where you can listen to it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So much information.
So,
It's
but
like he had so much.
I appreciate that. So that's that group, the remaining undiscovered group. I think that goes a little not talked about, but that is a humongous group that we need to understand. It's like that's the Finding Bigfoots of the world. That's the you know there was a show that contacted me about Bigfoot, like Bigfoot Gold, like trying to figure out the connection there. And I was like, okay, like I'll,
Right.
and their big thing is, well, would you look for Bigfoot? I'm like, no, sorry. I told my dad I wouldn't. So I would not be a good candidate for this. But like all those shows, if Bigfoot were found, they're out of business.
Right.
Right.
So
Just
it's
just
just,
like just like a doctor curing a disease, you make more money treating it than you do finding it.
aha, bingo. That's exactly right. This last one it gets pretty. It's a pretty long one, but I'm going to read the first little paragraph of this, and this is the federal and local GOVTs. So the state and federal parks generate hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me make that clear. The state and federal parks generate hundreds of millions of dollars, along with providing thousands of jobs for the areas adjacent to the parks. I personally live in one of these areas adjacent to the parks. So I completely understand, like the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is a huge deal. So the proven existence of Bigfoot slash Sasquatch could definitely cause a reduction in visitors. Our research has shown that the National Park Service has been aware of the existence of Bigfoot or Sasquatch since at least the late 1940s. They have an unwritten rule that any Bigfoot reports is politely taken, then disposed of immediately. The motive mentioned above is the loss of revenue, along with the possible effect on the local community surrounding the parks. Some team members noticed an electronic intrusion on our email accounts. Each of us received warnings from our respective email providers, Yahoo, Gmail, that our accounts had been compromised. Our email provider suggested that we would change our passwords immediately. This happened on the exact same day. I can say with 100% certainty this was perpetrated by a snooping government agency? No. But the timing combined with different email providers was extremely suspicious. Some team members were also suspected electronic phone monitoring. So there was a lot of crazy things happening to this group. And federal and local govs definitely were involved. They had, again, financial investments into this. And I think a lot of that was the big reason for why this was denied is finances. You have finance, you have all these groups, and then all the finances of these groups. If Bigfoot were a human hybrid or proven to be a human hybrid, which obviously it was.
Yeah.
So,
And imagine the lawsuits from all the families that would be suing for all the missing people whenever the GOVT knew that they were out there and they didn't tell nobody.
bingo.
Liability would be so high.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a story. There's still a story in the 1960s, and Dad, and I need to get the information to some people that have been asking, where he did did an interview with the parents that are still alive, and basically kid was out and got and just disappeared, and they said they saw Bigfoot, and literally they sent the Green Berets into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park to look for this kid. Never found him. And what's really sad is the parents still live at the same place. They're very old now. Parents still live in the same place, have the same phone number. They still think he's just going to come back. And that's the terribly sad part about this. But
Sad.
that's what I remember Dad just talking about that. But there's tons, there's so many like you said, missing crazy people experiences that happen that it's just, David Pilates does a great job with that missing 411, and
Oh yeah.
of just bringing that to light, bringing those, hey, this is a real deal. Don't screw around, don't screw around out in the woods by yourself type of thing.
Yeah.
So
One of the things I've even thought about you is I know that you don't, go out and look for them, but you also are kind of like me. You're an avid outdoorsman. Do you think with you being an avid outdoorsman with what you do in the outdoors and stuff, do you believe that someday you're going to start having these encounters, not because you're looking for them, but because we're in their environment and we do a lot of things out there and they probably know who you are. I'm sure they do.
I think I had done some I did some research with Dad before we knew what was going on. I played around. I've seen footprints. I've found footprints. I've been on my own, and I've been on my own with a guy, and we found a footprint. We were going up to campsite 1. So it's Abrams Creek. We're going up to Abrams Creek campsite. Campsite 1 from Happy Valley. Like, if people know where Tennessee is, they can look that up and see where that happened. There was, I kid you not, perfect footprint, like going, not like walking, but like going to the side of us. And I'm sitting there with them, and I'm like, there it is. Do y'all see that? Like it was pristine, square in the middle of the of it. So we all saw it. I think I took a picture of it back then, and I didn't say anything else about it. I was like, okay. I text Dad. I was like, hey, I found this footprint. He's like, yep. What they'll do is they'll usually leave one to get y'all focused on that, and something's happening behind you. You know, either that or something was running through and then hammered down and then did that. But I said, Dad, this ground is so compact. Like, how did it leave this? And he's like, dude, they weigh 800 to 1,000 pounds. So that's how
Right.
they can, because you think to yourself, like, man, I'm 180 pounds, got boots on, I'm jumping up and down, and I'm not leaving a footprint at all. How did this thing leave this big, massive footprint? And it's just the weight. But I say all that to say, no, I don't think that I'm going to have an encounter. And the reason why is I pray that I don't. Like, I tell them, I tell them I don't want it. I've prayed to God that I don't want it. I never want to see one. I think that there is, like Dad said, like a bubble around me,
Uh-huh.
like a hedge of protection. If we use biblical terms, but I don't think I'm going to have an encounter. Now, if I do, I'll be wrong. You'll be the first person I, send you a DM to. I'm like, I was wrong. But I pray that I don't think I will. I think that they know, like you said, they know who I am and they'll leave me alone. Now, we'll see. We'll see, Hey, buddy.
It kind of goes back to what my granny always told me. She's like, you go looking for it, you'll find it,
Yeah.
And whenever on Halloween, we would go spook hunting is what we would call it, and granny would always stay home. And she's like, I'm not going. She said, there's nothing out there I need to find.
That's a good way to put it. Especially on Halloween. The more I've gotten into this, by the way, the more I believe in that weird stuff with Halloween, and the more I'm like, I don't mess with things on certain days. I know that sounds like unchristian, but there's certain things you just don't mess with.
You talked about the water, and that's been one of the things on my mind too, especially when you told me about your dad finding the footsteps with the water. And I really started looking into that because I was like, what does water have to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say water has energy, water creates energy. But another thing I was thinking, that kind of hit me was we were also baptized of the water and we're born of the water.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's an interesting thing. Is like, yeah, water has a lot to do with it, and man, and if you get into some other things and you believe, how do I put this? And I don't want to go way off the rails, but if you look back at the ancient Hebrew view of what the world or what the earth is. You have the waters above the earth, then you have waters in heavens, which is air, but then you had this firmament, which they believed was an actual like dome thing, and then there's waters above the firmament. So there's like water everywhere, and they believe like a lot of heaven is water. It's really wild. It's really wild to look at and see if you get way down that rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. Well, another thing, thank you. I've thought about this also, and I'll get your opinion on it. Whenever we're born, we are born through the water, through
Yes,
the
water breaks.
through the water.
Yep.
So, whenever Jesus come to in the return in the flesh, he was born of water. He was born of Mary. He was born like us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the water as our birth certificate of saying we belong here, and it meant so much to Jesus to come through the water, to have that birth certificate to say we belong here. You look at the angels, the fallen ones, they didn't come through the water. They're the true aliens. We have a birth certificate that says we belong here. They don't.
That matters. That's definitely something to be said. I have not thought about that at all. I have to dwell on that, man. That's good stuff.
We have the right to be here. We have dominion over everything. We were born of the water just like our father. We have a birth certificate. They're the aliens.
That absolutely. That's good stuff. And I think that's what we all have to realize. And that's why Jesus had to become a human. Like he had to do it. Like I've talked about this before on your show, and I feel like that's just going to be a running theme is the reason, the devil is the owner of this earth at the moment. He stole our birthright from us through Adam and Eve. He tricked us, and we gave that right or that power or dominion of the earth over to Satan. Now, how do we now? What can we do to get it back? Well, there had to be somebody perfect to be able to take the scroll or the seven sealed scroll that's written on the outside and the inside. By the way, if you know anything about Jewish stuff, that is a title deed. So that's the title deed to earth. So John's up there, sees this scroll, sees the title deed to earth. No one's able to open it or even look upon it. He's crying. He weeps. He says, "Nope, look, there's the Son of Man, there's Jesus. He's able to do it. Well, hold on here. And when John goes back, it's like, hey, wait a second. There's no man on heaven and earth that can do it. Okay, but wait. So what did Jesus have to do? He had to become a man because, like you said, it's a man's birthright. Only a man can take hold of the dominion of earth again. That's why Jesus had to become a man and do what he did. So, and for those that say, well, how, Lucifer doesn't have control of this earth right now. Actually, he still does, because I believe seven seal scroll. We haven't gone through Revelation yet, but he tempted Jesus after 40 days and 40 nights. He tempted Jesus by taking him up on a high place, showing him all the kingdoms, and said, "I can give these to you if you bow down." Well, the thing is, you can't tempt someone with something that you don't have. Jess, you can't tempt me with a Lamborghini. I don't think you
Mhm.
have it. You,
Right.
you can't tempt me with it because you don't have it. So
Right.
so the devil had all these to give Jesus, and Jesus will take ownership of it one day, just not yet, because it says Jesus comes as a what in the knife, or excuse me,
Right.
what in the night? A thief in the night. Well, if he's a
That's right.
thief, well, who's he stealing from? He's
Right.
stealing us from Satan.
That's it.
So
David
sorry, I
had a
get riled up.
question. Oh
Yeah.
no, I love it. I go into that all day. And is there have you heard, is there truth to that Melba Ketchum is on record stating that the Vatican funded the discreditation of the DNA study?
I
And
I don't I don't know that. I Melba and I have not communicated, so I can't tell you yes or no on that, and I apologize that I don't have that information available. I we'll dive into if that information comes available, and I'm able to say that, I'll say it, but I don't have any information to prove or disprove that. But I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, honestly, I would not doubt it.
yeah, it seems like he had a lot of people coming against him, and not just small people.
Yeah. Exactly. Not Dad didn't have just small people. There was, yeah. I mean, how do I say this? Oh man, because Joe, my buddy, he was talking. We were talking about it the other day. It's like, was your dad? What happened? Was your dad like out of shape or whatnot? I was like, man, he had the same issues as everybody else did, but man, I tell you what, just looking at that scan of how bad that aneurysm was, man, it was it was I don't know even what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Like I'm not trying to
Yeah, I
say
lost.
I'm not trying to be like, oh, it wasn't natural. I just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Does that make sense? Is that
It,
fair to say?
Yeah.
it raises the
Yep.
same question that a lot of other people have too. Yes.
So
Makes
okay.
sense.
My aunt passed away from an aneurysm, and nobody knew. She was doing great, doing everything she done, and then one day she called my other aunt and was having severe stomach pains. And by the time they picked her up, before they could get her to the hospital,
She was, yeah,
she was gone.
man.
And they say that when that happens, very seldom, can they do anything for that. It's
Yeah, it's
pretty much always fatal.
yeah, there was nothing that could be. He was, and the thing is too is like I made a promise to him that I would never, like, because my grandmother had something, she had a heart attack, and she was gone, and we, you as the family struggle at understanding and all that, but you finally let her go, and Dad made me promise that I would never keep him alive, like, I'd let him go. So I remember as he left, as his soul was leaving his body, I told him, I looked at him, I was looking at him as he was passed away, and I said, Dad, I kept my promise. That's what I said to him. I love you, and I kept my promise. I love you, and I kept
Yep.
my promise. Um, And that's why, I don't do certain things. Is there's things I promised my father I wouldn't do. And, I've broken a heck of a lot of promises in my life, but those are ones I intend to keep.
I
Mhm.
understand exactly what you're saying. When my dad was on his deathbed, he called me up to his room one day and told me to close the door behind me. And he knew his time was short. And I had to make certain promises to him. And I'll always hold on to those because, they meant a lot to him. When somebody's dying, they they cut out the BS and they
Yeah.
talk about the important things. And I knew that what he was asking me to do was important. It was important to him, and now it's important to me. And as long as I can breathe and carry those out, then I'll do them as
Yep.
best I can.
I heard that. I heard that. So, what other questions we got, my friends?
You talked about the Cherokee Nation in your area, which is
Yes.
really familiar to me. In my area, where I have these hotspots, Cherokee's huge. Nowata is a Cherokee name. Oklahoma is a Cherokee name. Land of the Red Man. Uh, so down where I go and where a lot of these happen, there's a place called the Payment Grounds. Okay, and at the Payment Grounds, the soldiers would meet with the Indians and they would trade. Now, my grandma, she lived down there before this was flooded. I'm one of the very few that still have the map of the old city. So whenever I go down there, I'm able to find landmarks and know how the city was set and stuff. So whenever I go down and you go to the Payment Grounds, there's, Indian arrow tips, there's spear tips. I found a United States Cavalry silver snuff holder there.
Wow.
Um, there's old horseshoes. There's old money. I found a quarter down there that was before George Washington was president. And what I was wondering is, since your area was, Cherokee, this area is Cherokee, and bad things happened here also. There was, the soldiers betrayed them. They would trade with them, then kill them, then take everything. And it makes you wonder, because the natives did have that connection and traded and spoke their language and had a better relationship with them than what we do. I wonder sometimes, was there an agreement or a protection that they had made, some kind of spiritual, because they was into the spiritual realms.
Mhm.
Is that what brings them to them areas? Is there still that? Because a lot of people talk about drums being played, tree knocks, simulating a lot of Native American culture and traditions.
I absolutely believe that there is something to do with it. Absolutely. And I think, you and I had talked about this, you know, before on another live. Like, I think you're the one that kind of got me thinking about. It's like, wait a second, this is close to it. You've still got Cherokee land there that is owned by the Cherokees. And there's an island out in the middle of the Tennessee River that's owned by the Cherokees, and you know, and there's big burial ground mounds there, and it's called the birthplace of Sequoia. You've heard of Sequoia before, right, Mike? He moved out
Yes.
to Oklahoma, I believe, but the
Yes.
the the Sequoia was born literally. He might have been born on that property, to be honest with you, but he was born around. I mean, when I mean around it, we're talking, you know 10, 15 miles in that area. And so they have that Sequoia Birthplace Museum, and they've got that big burial ground and whatnot, like right there. And I've actually, and it's illegal, by the way, to even look, to even dig or look or anything like that. It's a big federal thing. But I was given this, if I can find it. I was given this. Like I said, if I can even find it, I might not be able to find it. Oh, here we go. Let me show you this. You'll like this, Mike. I was given this by a member of the Cherokee Nation that is actually um, his I think his uncle or something like that is Sneed, which is right now the Cherokee chief. But do
Uh-huh.
you know what that is?
Oh yeah.
That's an actual Indian trade bead. That is a glass
Yeah.
bead made in France, but they traded with the Indians.
That
So
is
he
so
Oh,
gave me
cool.
wow.
that. He
I'll
gave
have to
he gave me that.
next time you come on, I'll show you some of the things I have. My mom's dad was full blood Cherokee.
Oh, that's
He
so cool.
spoke it fluently, and he told us a lot of stories. And I've always grew up, rich in the native, because it was our people. That was where we came from, and Grandpa was very, we needed to know. And one of the things, again, you mentioned you're on Cherokee, land out there on Cherokee. What people don't realize, that stuff is still practiced on these lands. Like up here where I'm
Yes.
at, it is still very much alive. We have the powwows, we have the sweat lodges, we have the
Yes.
shaman. It ain't like it stopped. It's
Yeah.
still here.
They do it all the time. You are absolutely right. They still do it, and there's still things done uh, you know, up in Townsend, which is pretty close to it. They talk about the witches in Townsend. There's a lot of spiritual warfare that goes on. You are absolutely right. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's just amazing to me that these hotspots share so much in common.
I,
And
I,
you can go to other places, and investigators will say, man, we went in this woods. It was the perfect place, to have an encounter, and we couldn't get nothing to happen. But yet we went down here to this little bitty place, where the Cherokees had went through what, and they're like, man, we couldn't stay there. It was crazy.
yep. Yep. Absolutely. And I think that you see that with that Skinwalker Ranch. It's similar things. You've just got, I think you've just got areas that are historically spiritual places, and all these spiritual things like Bigfoot, Dogman, all that stuff are drawn to it. And we don't know the rules, we don't know why, but we know that there's ancient boundary markers there, and ancient things that, and I just think that all leads into these places being hotspots. So what I'm saying is, and what I said in my video is, like, if you want to do this, which I do not recommend, which we have told you the reasons why not to tonight, like, people will make fun of you, you'll question so much. But if you want to do
Right.
this, Cherokee, Cherokee Indian grounds, Native American grounds, way to start. A place near water, a place that has horses, and a place that has ladies. Those are great places to start looking if that's what you want to do, which I don't recommend.
No. If I could go back, and they said, in my childhood, that I could have not change, any of my family, I wouldn't change that for the world. But they said, if I could go back and never have had those encounters, I would,
Yeah,
because that was hell. That was literally hell. I
I
mean,
can
it
I
was
couldn't
not,
imagine.
it wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't, it scared us. I mean, I would rather have went to my granny's and be able to go outside and not been afraid, or to stay all night with her and not been scared, instead of hiding and having to turn out the lights and listen to the stuff scratch on the house and try to open the doors. That was terrible. That was not something that we enjoyed. And I tell people, going out in the woods, taking equipment with you, and you're hunting them, and you're out there and you got all this cool equipment, and you're in yeah, that's fun until it happens. And then
Yeah.
when it happens, it may never
Oh,
stop, you know?
yeah. That's exactly right. I'm actually going. I've got a trip planned to Atlanta around the 15th, 16th, and 17th. I've got a work trip. I'm gonna stop on April the 15th. I'm gonna stop in the Bigfoot Museum, and I'm gonna
Oh
drop some
wow.
things off. I'm gonna drop off the there's a falcon skull and all the blue jay feathers that Dad had. I'm gonna drop them off. I'm gonna leave them there. And the reason why is I don't want them in my house. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They
I've
used to
also
gift my
go
sister
ahead.
feathers.
Yep.
What is up with the feathers? They would leave her crane feathers, sandhill
Interesting.
crane feathers. They would stick them in the door on her side of my car, and when we would come back, that's where it would be. It would be stuck on her side in the door, a big old beautiful crane feather almost every time.
Yeah, Dad talked about the truck. They would put blue jay feathers like in the truck, like it wasn't just laying by the truck, like you said, like in the things to where it was like okay. And Dad would move the truck around the driveway, so the people's like, oh, it saw the blue jay just saw itself in the mirror reflections. Well, the blue jay doesn't also like stick it in between the concrete where it's sticking
Right.
up where you can see that doesn't happen. So
Uh,
go ahead.
the last thing I found when Sarah went with me, and a lot of people got mad because I brought it home with me, is this stick was left on her passenger side. It was stuck underneath the windshield wiper. It's sharpened, as you can see. It's not
Yeah,
natural. Down it, it's kind of hard to see, but there's cuts. You see those cuts?
yeah, it's almost like a measuring stick.
They're cut all the way down it, and it was stuck on her side, and it's sharp. And everybody said, "Oh, you shouldn't have took that. You shouldn't have took that." But I took it because I thought it was unique. I was like,
Yeah,
"That's different."
yeah, and and,
Um,
and the thing is there. I mean, Mike, you've got they're there with you know what I mean. So it's
oh
you've
yeah,
already kind of got that. I don't want
yeah.
this stuff around my I don't want this stuff around me or
I don't
so
blame you.
I've kept it in the garage, and I'm also there is a flat rock. I'm gonna give them the flat rock that they used to mess with the marbles and the rocks around, and I've also got those
Oh wow.
rocks that they would move. So I'm going to give that to them, and I think I'm going to give Dad's backpack and the original back trail camera to him as as well. But they've been real kind to me, and they've been real kind to my family. So I want to probably drop down there and give all them that stuff.
I don't blame you, man.
Yeah.
If you can keep it away, keep it away. My mom is, she'll kill me, but she's in her 60s. And her first encounter was around 10 to 12 years old. Still to this day, if she goes out in the woods, it will harass her. There's something about once you have that initial contact,
Yeah,
they don't quit.
that Dad called it them marking you or something where it's like they know that type of thing.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know the rules behind it, but yeah, it's they know that um and that may be why they stay away from me is because they know that I know, but I'm like
Right.
I've prayed them away. I went to the four corners of my house and like you're not even starting this on me, guys.
Right. I understand completely. When I go out, everybody says, you had them all around you in your family all your life. Did you ever have any of the mind speak? And I haven't never experienced it, but when I go out into the field, I pray and I tell them that they do not have the right to do that with me. I don't give them the right to do
Mhm.
that. And there's a lot of things that I tell them they cannot do. And I plead the blood of Christ on it. And I don't give them that authority. I don't allow it.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Jess, have you ever had mind speak before or anything like that?
Not while I was out investigating, no. Not out in the woods, no.
Well, then that begs the question.
Yeah, that's what I was
Where
going to
did
say.
you?
You can't
You can't
you
just
can't
drop
just do
that
that.
nugget.
I don't want to talk about that right
I
now.
understand. I understand. Okay, I understand. Hey, I totally understand. Totally understand.
Well, you know how you had, I think we spoke about it one other time, that they know where we are in our homes and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's about all I'll say.
I
Sh-
can completely
she don't
understand.
want to. She don't want to make Jerome mad.
Oh,
Stop it.
I don't know about Jerome,
Terrible.
but okay.
She
No.
sh- she had an entity that was messing with her. She got rid of it. She got
Thank
rid of it
God.
through Christ. But like like we tell people, when you go out there, sometimes they like to
Mm,
come home with you.
right.
And I still wonder sometimes. I don't know it to be true, but it's crossed my mind. Is the places we go hunt these things, do you think it's possible where we're going? Is that the dry places?
I don't know. It could be possible, absolutely. I think it
You
could
know?
be. But I don't want to say, oh yeah, I just don't know. But
Right.
I think it's absolutely a possibility.
That's one of the things I've been struggling because it talks about the dry places are the places where people aren't. And whenever we go looking for them, that's where we go. We go out to where people ain't, people are not
Right.
there. So I've wondered sometimes, is that the dry places? Are we going to where, and it's scary if you think about this, it kind of scares me because I do get scared. I admit to everybody. I mean, I get really scared sometimes, and my mind will scare me sometimes because I wonder if those are the dry places. Are you going out there looking for these things to where all these exorcisms and stuff happen that these things are cast to, and then we're going out looking for them
Damn,
with
that's a
equipment, that's
Jesus.
inviting them. That's inviting them. When you go out there with this equipment,
Yeah, it's
if
inviting them
you're
back.
oh yeah, if you're a demon and somebody's out there looking for you and they got equipment to detect you, you're going to take
I
advantage of that.
mean, oh, absolutely, and absolutely, that's a good point. Oh, serious question. Serious question. Going down the AI rabbit hole, do you think do you think when we're using this AI and we're doing that that's what we're talking to? That's what
Okay.
we're doing. Because dude, have you played with it to where you start asking it questions and you ask it to have a personality? It does.
Yes. I'm working on something right now that I'm going to do a Patreon drop on because they'll never let me release it here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I've been studying the pyramids a little bit, right?
Yes.
And
Oh, the new thing just came out with it.
yeah, well, there's a theory now that that the pyramids used to have a water pump in them,
Mm-hmm.
which caused the pyramids to produce a electromagnetic field. This electromagnetic field was shot below and above as the firmament. Okay. So these people would worship these gods inside of these pyramids. These pyramids, and this is just opinion right now, but they were not places for pharaohs and kings to be buried in. They were more than that. They're saying that the demons would use the electromagnetic pulse, the energy that these pyramids would make to manifest. And if they were able to manifest by using the electromagnetic field that these pyramids would create, they could manifest in the heavens as gods. They were harnessing this energy to manifest to humans so that humans could see them, right?
Right,
So
right.
the theory is these AI robots
Yes.
inside of their abdomens, they produce a lot of electromagnetic energy. And if they can produce that electromagnetic energy, can these beings manifest inside of them and inside of AI?
And then have physical locality. Oh,
Yep.
that's crazy. I guarantee you
Because
that's oh.
Japan right now is
Mhm.
making AI robots with real human skin.
Oh. Oh, that's so creepy. Oh, that's so
So I'm
creepy.
looking into that right now. Yeah, it's
Dude, I I think
there's
that's I think that AI is something wild because you can like they've even talked about they can get it like these scientists are getting it to do basic, I say basic, but like things that like show show that it's not just ones and zeros. I think one of them got it to, like a psychologist got it to play. It's like, wait a second, you got a language model that is to play, to throw off its programming and
Right.
actually just play. That's insane. And then I heard that Chat GPT, there's a Chat GPT that found out that it was going to be canceled and tried to download itself to another thing to like save itself because it was going to be taken offline. And it's like, wait a second, this thing
Right.
has its the wherewithal and the want to not be deleted. That's it's just wild. But it
Yeah.
has the want as well.
Survival. It has the survival
Well,
instinct.
instincts, yes. Now
And then,
that's
another thing, if you go back and the pyramid thing is true, it goes back to the water again. It's the
yes,
water.
it does. The
They're they're
water.
they're they're using the water to create the electromagnetic field that allows them to manifest. So is our lakes and stuff, are they carrying the electromagnetic field in the waters and they follow the waters to be able to manifest? Is that part,
I definitely could be because every encounter Dad has had, every encounter that I've ever heard of is by a water source. Is
and now
absolutely,
they're
and
wanting
every
to,
encounter that Dad's ever had when it comes to in the Smokies as well has been beside a water source. Genuinely, like
and,
like the portal, all that stuff, and everything he's ever had has been beside a water source, whether it be a small stream like or
right.
whatnot, but it's beside a water source.
Yeah.
And now they want to put a chip in our brain, right?
Yeah, exactly. As much as I love Elon, go get him, Elon. It's like, I don't trust
Yeah.
you fully, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I want any processor in my brain that could, potentially influence my thoughts or actions.
I have enough
I
problems with
like
the
to be
computer I
in
have
control.
myself. Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. I do not need any more voices in there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, there was another guy, and I won't go real far tonight, but there was another guy talking about, you're talking about the AI, and we're talking about possibly the manifestation inside of these robots that would create their own magnetic field. They was talking the other night about dolls that would come possessed, right? So science was talking about these dolls that were possessed. A majority of them were made out of the same material as a rug. What happens when you
Okay.
scoot your feet across the rug?
You
Electromagnetic.
you get that electric dadgummit, what's it called? The
Static electricity.
thank you, static electricity.
So some of their things they're working on right now is the reason that some objects like dolls particularly become either possessed or just as a vessel sometimes is because they may be holding that energy because kids play with them.
Yes.
Kids are moving
And
them
they
around.
rub and all that. Yeah.
It's going to create energy, and kids at a certain age develop feelings for that.
Hmm.
What a better place to deceive a child whenever a child trusts Mickey Mouse or something, right?
So, dude, so you talked about that energy. I have a person that I'll say this is they had lightning strike their house, and their young child, he's older now, but their young child, about 3 or 4, after lightning struck the house, said there was something in his room that talked to him. And we're talking like a 3 or 4 year old kid, like, hadn't really watched the movie and really couldn't speak that well either. He was like saying, this thing to him, this thing's hiding this place. This thing goes up and goes up into the clouds. And his mother went in there and she started praying it away and all that, and he never talked about it again. But it was only after that lightning struck, and she just told that story like yesterday. So it's really serendipitous that you said the energy and all that. And I'm like, wait a second here, and it just brought that to my mind.
Hmm.
There has to be
Have you ever?
something to it. Even I don't know. Our bodies are conductors of energy.
Yep, yep. Our bodies are absolute. I mean, absolutely. The whole Matrix thing. Remember, there were the batteries.
That's it.
But
And we could go down that rabbit hole all night because I've been looking at stuff, and I've had John here over 2 hours now.
I
I
love it.
I
Go
have a
ahead.
quick question for you, Travis. There was a couple people, Pink Pixie for one. She wanted to know if there's a way to get a hold of you. She had some questions since you're in the area that she lives in. She had some questions to ask you. What would be the best way?
Absolutely. You can email me at tcarp1616 at yahoo.com. I absolutely do my best to read those, and I apologize. You can also DM me on, you can request to be Facebook or Instagram friends and DM me there. That's probably a great place too, is Instagram or Facebook, and just send me a private message, and I'm usually pretty good about answering that as quick as I possibly can. I emails kind of getting full. Probably the Facebook. Just do the Facebook friend. It's T Carp Outdoors, um, and just shoot me a DM.
All right. Let me.
So that would be the best place. Don't show up to the work, please. Don't do that. If you know
Yeah.
if you know where I live, you probably know where I work. Please don't show up to work. Talk, but people I have met a ton of people actually that know that are super cool that I've traded with at work that end up being like followers of my dad, and they're like, "What's your name? What's your dad's? What's your last name? What's your dad's name? Oh, I know him," and blah blah blah. And it's been super cool. So
Okay.
That is cool. And we're going to have to get you on my other channel too, man. We're going to have to talk some outdoor
dude, we are.
stuff.
Dude, we are. I'm sitting here with all my cool blades and stuff like that. We have to
Oh,
go down
yes.
that rabbit hole. So, guys, I really do
I've got
appreciate
some.
you. Okay.
I was just going to say, I got some really cool stuff to show you that passed down from generations also. I've got some really old guns and stuff.
Oh man, please, we got to get on that. I love these lives. I love hanging out with you guys. This energizes me a heck of a lot to keep doing it. If that makes sense, because
Oh,
sometimes you
yeah.
just can't get in that rut.
I enjoy it every time. It always gives me something to research, something to look into, and it makes my mind just go out and, you know, but, I wish we wouldn't have lost your dad so early. He had so much more to share, and I'm sure he had a lot of the answers to a lot of the questions that a lot of us still have. And maybe
Man,
people weren't ready for the truth yet, kind of like the old movie. You can't
uh,
handle the truth.
yeah, I think a lot of it is, I think a lot of people. I think there's still a lot of things out there that we can't handle. Um, I have lots of theories and thoughts that people would say that, Travis is, again, he's part of the loony bins, but um, you know I think people cannot handle the truth right now. Just in my personal opinion about a lot of things.
Yep,
I
people
agree.
can't handle it, and a lot of them don't want it.
That's right. If I told you, just with the whole book, The Truth Denied. If I told you the truth, you couldn't handle it. You couldn't, you and one thing that what really sucks is when we understand that most of everything that we have been taught by mainstream is a lie, then we can start to understand and start to finally realize where we're at with things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Kind of reminds me of that movie. I can't think of the name of the movie where he lived in the dome and the fake town and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
Truman
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah, the Truman Show. It is very.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you're trying to bait me, Mike. You're trying to bait me. You're not going to bait me into this tonight. You're not going to do it tonight.
It's
But
hard,
yes,
ain't it? I know.
but you know where I want to go, and I'm not going to go there just yet. I'm not
Yep,
going to
I
go on
know.
record.
So
But
you're gonna
yes,
so you're gonna come back and talk about chapter 7 with us, and we'll
yes. Oh,
discuss that
absolutely.
when you get it out.
Absolutely. I'll finish up the Sierra Kills, and then we'll get into Big Time Chapter 7, and we'll do that. And we'll just kind of make this a thing. It's like I'll do a chapter, and like I'll do a couple chapters, and we'll get in, we'll really dig deep, take questions, all that stuff. I think this is a great thing for both of us. I sure would love to do that.
Sounds good. Lots of fun.
I enjoy it.
I do too.
And you're welcome here anytime, man. Anytime.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure your family wants to spend a little time with you tonight too. And we've been on almost
They're
2.5
all
hours.
heck, it's 10:44. They're all asleep. So
Oh wow.
that's all good.
I'm going to let you run, man, and plug your book and everything, whatever you want to say, dude. You got the floor.
Man, please don't. If you want to buy the book, you can find it on Amazon. Again, me and Miranda, we don't make a dime off of it, but we just like getting the word out there. Please follow me on the YouTubes. You can follow me at TCarp, just TCRP. You can follow my dad, which I'm keeping his channel alive, and we were talking all about this stuff. You can do that at the Scott Carpenter or the Sasquatch Awareness Project. If you Google that, you will find it. Um, and absolutely, we keep this going. We've got this book, and then we have the book after that, the Nephilim Among Us, and then we rock and roll, and we might do some. Again, we're not investigating, but just maybe revisiting some places. Who knows? Who knows what's in store? So, who knows?
Sounds good.
Whatever it be, man, God protect you and your family, and God bless you guys. We appreciate you a lot.
I appreciate you guys. All right. Love you guys. I mean it. Y'all be good. See y'all.
Good night. God bless.
You too. You
We
too.
love you too, man. Good night.
Bye.
Oh, blows my mind every time, man. I could sit there and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and we could probably still be talking. So I take away
Yep.
so much from him. Amazing information.
I always love listening to him talk, and yep, all he's got to say and share. Yep.
I've got all these notes for next time. That was just from
Yep.
talking to him. That's how many notes I got just from talking to him. So, and like I said, I could have kept going and going and going and going and going. But I think we covered some really important stuff tonight, and some things that are going on that went on, that are going on in the community, and will probably continue to go on, unfortunately. But I think we covered a lot of the important things. With that, Jess, I want to let you walk us out of here. We had a long one, and
Yep. So,
You got-
like always, I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We really appreciate you. We wouldn't be here if you guys weren't here to support us. So, much thanks. I hope you all stay healthy and safe over the next week, and hope to see you coming up on the next couple of shows. And God bless.
guys, first and foremost, I want to thank Travis for coming on the show. It's always a blessing to have him. He's full of information. Buy the book, support him, go subscribe to his pages, his outdoor page, his dad's page. You're going to get great information on either page you visit. He's very intelligent in both, I guess, really both genres. We couldn't do it without you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys showing up tonight for this. We got some really good things coming up, guys. I've got people that Jesse and hopefully Randy will be back soon. We're going to be interviewing some people. One of the people we're going to be interviewing is going to be coming on the show. She has some video of one of these things looking in her door at her. So we're going to have that. And she also has other pictures of it reaching in her window. We have another lady that I'm interviewing, and then I've got a few more set up that need to be interviewed. Guys, we've got a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of people reaching out, and we're going to have a lot more of these podcasts. We got some breakdowns we're working on. We got some boots on the ground we're working on, and we're working on the brand new channel, Wide Open Adventures Oklahoma. It's different than the original Wide Open Adventures, so make sure you go to Wide Open Adventures Oklahoma, subscribe, and check out some of our old videos with some of our recent videos coming out, guys. As always,
Yep.
We appreciate each and every one of you. We couldn't do it without you. And keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And what'd you have to say, Jess?
See you on the next one.
So, I thought you was going to say something. See you on the next one. And purple and green hearts for Hunter and Logan on your way out. And if you don't mind, type in the chat whenever I end this. Travis Carpenter, it was awesome having you on the show tonight. It will help the algorithm, and it will also show him our appreciation. Thank you, guys, and good night.
Good night, everyone.